watching Left Hand Reviews. Today we're going to take a look at a game that was published in 2011 by Ravensburger called Casa Grande. Casa Grande was designed by Gunter Burkhardt. It was released in 2011 and it plays in about, well, the box says 30 to 45 minutes. I think it's probably closer to 45 to an hour once everyone knows how to play, and can handle anywhere from 2 to 4 players. Now, the premise of Casa Grande is that players are going to be placing tiles and buildings to create the largest and tallest buildings that they can within the building area, while at the same time utilizing placements from other players and competing against other players within that same area. Every time that you place a building, you're going to earn some money based on the size of the building and the height that it is off the ground, and whoever has the most money at the end of the game is going to win. So let me go ahead and show you what comes in your copy of Casa Grande, how to play the game, and then I'll tell you what I think about it. Casa Grande comes in Ravensburger's standard size box. If you watch my review that I published the other day on Indigo, you'll notice that this is the same size, also the same size as the latest edition of Scotland Yard. Inside of it, the first thing you're going to see here is a black and white rule book. That's actually one of my biggest gripes with this game is the rule book, but I'll get to that in the summary. You're going to have a good sized bifold board. The board here is going to consist of the building area. There's a tracker on the outside here, and then there's a bonus track here on the left. Then you're going to have a big fat stack of paper money, some tokens for each of the players, and then each player is going to have some platform tiles of various shapes, think Tetris, and a series of building pieces that those platforms are going to be built on top of. And it's nice they provide a colored box that corresponds to each of the color of the players. So that's nice. And that's really all you're going to get. You do get a lot of plastic in this game. Let me set it up, and I'll teach you how to play Casa Grande. So this is a setup for a 4-player game of Casa Grande. Each player is going to have their corresponding building blocks and their platform tiles in their play area. Each player is going to place one of their colored tokens in a corner of the board, and then the other token for each player is going to start on the 5 level of the bonus track. You have a stack of the money there, that's just the bank, and all the 9s actually go at the top of the bonus track. Now what's going to happen in Casa Grande is, starting with the start player, they're going to take this wooden die and roll it. And so let's say red was going first, they rolled a 2, so red is going to move their marker around this track 2 spaces. 1, 2. Now what that means is they can now build a building or place one of their red building blocks anywhere in this area of the board. If anybody here has played Crude or McMulty, it's kind of the same idea. So they can place their building blocks anywhere on here, and you have to place one of your blocks. So they're going to take one of their blocks and they can put it here or here or here, or anywhere within this strip. So they may place it there. Now the third thing that you may do on your turn is placing one of your platforms here, and they call that completing a story. So think of a multi-story building, you're completing the first story of the building. Now, the trick to completing a story is that if you see on the tile here, there's 2 areas on this particular one that are outlined in kind of a lighter red color. To complete a story, you must place this platform over 2 blocks of your color that must be under these outline spaces, and only under these outline spaces. So eventually I must create 2 buildings like this and place your platform on it like that, and that would complete the story. You're not allowed to have one of your blocks under an area that does not have the outline on it. Now another player's block could technically be under it. That's okay, but you cannot have your own under an unmarked space. So anyway, that would end Red's turn because there's no stories that they can complete. Now it would move on to Gray. Gray would roll a die. They have a 3. They're going to move 3 spaces. Now they can place one of their building blocks anywhere on this row. So they may go here. Now another thing to keep in mind is the bonus track here on the left-hand side. The bonus track allows you to expend bonus points in order to move your piece further on your turn. So assuming it's Orange's turn now, let's say they rolled a 2. But let's say, for the sake of example, they actually wanted to put one of their blocks here. Well, they have to be in this space to be able to do that. But they didn't roll a 3, they only rolled a 2. So what the orange player can do is expend one of their bonus points to move up one space, and they can do as many as they want depending on how many spaces they want to move. And now they're in this space and they must place their block now, and let's say that's where they wanted to place it all along. If you were to land on a corner space, you have two options. You can either expend some of your bonus points to move on and place a block like I just went over, or you can stay in the corner space, and since there is no rows or columns associated with a corner space, you can instead take 3 bonus points. And that's the main way that you can increase bonus points. When you get up to 9 or exceed 9 bonus points, you're going to start back down at 0, and you collect $9 from the bank. Let's just say it's a little bit later in the game. It's Gray's turn. Gray's going to roll the die, and they roll a 3. 1, 2, 3. Now he's going to place one of his gray building blocks here, and now what he can do is he can complete a story, because you always have the option of doing that at the end of your turn. So he's going to place it here. Notice on this particular piece you have to have blocks in these 3 spaces, which he does. He's going to lay it on like so, and now he scores the points. The number of points that you get is equal to the story or level of it, and this would be on the first story, multiplied by the area in cubes or in squares. So 1, 2, 3, 4 times 1 is 4. So the gray player is going to take $4 from the bank and add it to their stockpile. All right, let's fast forward a little bit, and as you can see, we have several level 1 platforms built. Now at any time you can actually start building additional levels, so level 2, level 3, level 4, and so on. Now the rules for that is that you can place one of your platform or blocks, your building blocks, on any color platform you want, or you can place them directly on top of a block, an uncovered block of your own color. So for example, if this orange was there, orange could come and place another one of their blocks directly on top of it if they wanted to. You can never take a block and stick it on top of another colored block. You can only stack blocks on top of their own color, or stack a block on top of any color platform. There for even on your own, of course. Now the catch is if you put one of your blocks on another player's platform, you have to pay them 1 bonus point. So they're going to get a bonus point, redwood in that particular case. You can also never put a platform directly on top of another platform, of course. So you would not be able to do something like directly on here. Another level has to be built before another platform can go on. And again, play is going to continue. So let's say orange eventually put one here, and now they have the ability to put another platform right here, 1, 2, 3. That's going to score them 3 points in size plus level 2, so a total of 6 points. So they're going to collect $6 from the bank. One quick thing I just realized is that in the rules it does state that you cannot build exact same shapes on top of one another. So this would actually technically be an illegal move that I showed you earlier. So let's presume that the actual orange player went here and they built a size 4 platform. That would technically be a legal move. And that's really all there is to Casa Grande. Players are going to be rolling dice, moving around here. Depending on where they land is going to determine where they can place their building blocks. Then at any time when they have the ability, they can place platforms. If you place on other players' platforms, you will have to pay them a bonus point. Every time you hit 9 bonus points, you get $9. Every time you complete a platform, you get money equal to the height of the platform times its area. So of course it's going to be more exciting to try to get these larger platforms, for example, but it's also going to be more challenging. And that's all there is to it. Play ends once a player has placed all of their building blocks, or you can play a shorter game by designating at start first person to place 15 blocks or 10 blocks. And whoever has the most money at the end of the game is declared the winner of Casa Grande. So what do you think of Casa Grande? Overall, I like the game. It's not one of my favorites, and I'm going to tell you a few reasons why. First, let me tell you what I liked. The components, like most of Ravensburger's stuff, is 100% top-notch. The coloring is very nice. I love how everything is organized very well in the box. The game is very easy to learn and pick up and play. I think this is also a great game to play with your children because it promotes a lot of math, multiplication, simple multiplication, and addition, and things like that. In addition, it's very good as far as spatial recognition is concerned because you have to worry about where you are moving your tokens on the board and how that will correspond to where you can place building blocks, and then in the future have the bases built for your platform. So there's a lot of good critical thinking that is involved with this game, which I think makes it an excellent learning tool for children or young adults. Now, what I didn't like about this game, there's a couple things. One, I have a huge gripe about the rule book. The rule book is in black and white. This game is heavily dependent on color, and there are a couple rules in the book that are 100% reliant on color, and it shows you a diagram, but the diagram is in black and white, so you can't see the color to begin with. That's a huge, huge oversight, and I had to go scouring on the forums in order to understand how the game is played. In addition, the rules are worded not very well. I think they had maybe some issues with translation, so that's a big gripe. And you know, for me as a gamer, it wasn't that huge of a deal to go on BGG and look things up, but for maybe a family that aren't big gamers and may want to get this game for their children to play, you know, if the rule book doesn't explain adequately how to play, then it's really, you know, disappointing. So Ravensburger, please print color dependent games rule books in color, please, or provide a slip of paper that says please download this from our website because you need to see it in color if you're too cheap to print it in color. But anyway, now the other gripe that I have about the game is it's extremely, extremely fiddly. And let me zoom in on it here. So you're going to be building these towers up on various levels. You're going to have this, and you're going to have some stuff all built up. And the problem is if you accidentally bump something, you know, everything starts to fall over, it falls apart. If, God forbid, you're trying to place one of your things and it falls in between some buildings and you're already like 4 levels high, you can forget about it. It's gone. Because you can't move things around to get at it because everything's going to end up being all interconnected. The only way I could see to really fix an issue like this would be have the game board multi-tiered or multi-layered in the sense that each of these squares kind of fit the blocks recessed so they can't move around, or have it made out of plastic, kind of like those deluxe Scrabble boards where the tiles fit right in. Now, of course, they didn't do that because it would have increased the manufacturing cost of the game quite a bit. So I understand that. But that, you know, was something that was tough with my game group, is that people kept knocking things around, and when you're trying to place these tiles, they have to be lined up perfectly on the little nubs on the top of the building blocks, and if they're not, then you're trying to shift stuff around and other things pop off or fall over. So it is a little bit fiddly, and I did mention that this would be good for a younger audience. You have to be careful because, you know, if they accidentally knock things over, it can cause a lot of frustration. So, and then the last thing I want to say is I felt that when you're playing with all the blocks, the game runs longer than it should. So I definitely advise playing maybe the first 10 or 15 blocks instead of all of them. So overall, I enjoyed Casa Grande. It's a well-made game. It's a great idea. I like how it has sort of an educational aspect to it, which I'm always very fond of in games because I enjoy playing with younger audiences. But there are a few faults to it. Not major enough for me to dislike the game, but just something that I want you all who are watching this to be aware. So anyway, if you think Casa Grande would be a good fit for your gaming group, check it out. And I appreciate you watching Left Hand Reviews.